Born side by side, Alistair and Lara entered this world within moments of one another. From that very second, the two were absolutely inseparable. Sharing a bedroom, they'd reach across their cribs just to hold on to each other. If one started sobbing, the other provided instant comfort. Their folks used to tease that a single soul had been split between them. On the morning of December 21st, 2023, merely 4 days before the holidays, that connection was ripped apart forever. Lara regained consciousness in a strange home, battered and suffering from cranial trauma. Her twin lay lifeless on the front steps. Fast forward 8 months to a mother facing a judge in a crowded courtroom. Staring down the man she once trusted with her babies, she delivered a chilling message. She only wanted him to suffer eternally. This narrative explores how misplaced confidence can tear a household to pieces. It is about institutional failure and a toddler whose life was stolen by a person the family considered a friend. While you're watching, remember that little Lara is navigating life without her other half. She pulled through despite brain bleeds and wounds that most medical professionals deemed fatal. She made it out alive, but her brother did not. Her existence now serves as a haunting reminder of a system that stood by and did nothing. The individual responsible for Alistair's death had previously fractured a 2-year-old's bones. Despite a conviction, he was set free without being tracked on any offender list. The Kunzler family was kept in the dark. Before continuing, I have one small request for you. Please comment with your location. Follow and distribute this video because while Lara is silent, we must be her voice. To grasp the true scale of this loss, we have to look at who Alistair actually was. He wasn't just some case file. He was a vibrant, giggling toddler with deep dimples. Born on February 19th, 2021, to Justin and Brittany, Alistair was their pride and joy. He was a unique baby from the start, sporting a full head of dark locks. His mother called him her little gentleman. He could charm anyone instantly with those trademark dimples. That radiant grin could brighten any dark corner, and even strangers couldn't help but smile back. His parents were childhood sweethearts who grew up just down the road from each other. After tying the knot, they moved to Roy, a quiet spot 30 miles north of Salt Lake City. They loved the peaceful atmosphere, solid schools, and the way neighbors looked out for one another. They picked a cozy house on a leafy street, dreaming of summer cookouts and kids playing in the hallway. When the twins arrived, those visions of a happy home became a reality. Alistair, arriving just minutes ahead, was the bold and high-energy leader of the pair. Friends recall him racing around the lawn, laughing at everything from tiny insects to jagged pebbles. Lara was more reserved, though her curiosity was just as sharp as his. She'd analyze her brother's wild energy before jumping in. Their parents said they balanced each other out perfectly. If Alistair was the firecracker, Lara was the steady, glowing coal. Alistair never went anywhere without Boots, a stuffed feline friend. The toy was tattered from love, but it was his second best friend. He also cherished a starry blue blanket, snuggling up to watch Teen Titans Go with his father every night. That was their special time. Alistair was definitely a total daddy's boy through and through. He shadowed his father's every move and tried to mimic everything he did. Justin, a carpenter, often brought home wood offcuts for the kids to play with. The duo would construct massive forts and castles from those timber scraps. Then Dad would play the giant, knocking them down while they squealed and started all over again. They could play that for hours. Brittany, working part-time at a clinic, spent her off hours painting with them. They'd go through boxes of crayons and bottles of finger paint on endless paper rolls. Their kitchen fridge was plastered with those colorful masterpieces that only a parent could truly love. Neighbors often saw the pair being towed in a red wagon, waving at everyone with massive grins. Every Halloween, they dressed up in perfectly coordinated outfits. Back then, the pair were the cutest little things. Everyone on the block was obsessed and constantly snapped photos of them. Besides his big sister Bella, Alistair had another sibling, Freya, who unfortunately passed away before he ever arrived. Grief was already a familiar visitor for this family, yet they couldn't possibly foresee another tragedy looming on the horizon. Alistair shared a unique link with Grandma Joanne, and her place served as a home away from home for the youngsters. Whenever they visited, he'd sprint toward her, stretching his tiny arms out wide, prepared to give her a massive squeeze with every bit of his toddler strength. A tearful neighbor fondly remembered the duo decorating the pavement with chalk doodles while their folks watched on from the front steps. Justin and Brittany felt like the future was bright, enjoying a house echoing with bath time giggles and soft bedtime narrations. As is common with parents of multiples, the couple required an extra pair of hands every now and then. They were quite involved locally. Brittany helped out at community gatherings, while Justin's job often took him to neighboring areas. Managing two high-energy toddlers was exhausting, forcing them to lean on their network of loved ones and acquaintances. One individual they relied on was 36-year-old Jonathan Allen Dunn. Locally, people viewed Dunn as a helpful guy who was always around when someone needed a favor. Having been in the Kunzler's inner circle for some time, he had looked after the little ones on several occasions. He appeared composed and gentle with youngsters, an absolute lifesaver for busy parents. They even affectionately called him Uncle John. Authorities later clarified he was simply a close associate whom the kids were taught to view as family, despite having no biological connection. Surprisingly, Jonathan Dunn carried a dark past involving crimes against minors. Back in 2016, he had brutally fractured the arm of a 2-year-old boy, who was the son of his then partner, leaving the child's face covered in welts. By 2017, he was found guilty in Cache County of inflicting severe physical harm on a minor, receiving a 1 to 15-year prison term. Prior to his sentencing, he penned a confession stating he was truly sorry for the mess he had caused. He expressed regret, wishing he'd stayed home, but was paroled in April of 2019 after serving roughly 2 years. He remained under supervision until late 2021, at which point all legal oversight simply vanished. No public database listed him as a dangerous individual or a predator. No warnings were sent to the community, nor was his proximity to kids monitored. It's unclear if Justin and Brittany were aware of his history. Law enforcement has never provided a definitive response regarding what the parents knew. In tight-knit communities, folks often give the benefit of the doubt, and criminal records don't always become common knowledge. By December of 2023, Dunn had babysat the twins frequently without causing any red flags. He was a father himself, with another 2-year-old living in his residence, a point the Roy police would later highlight. A man previously jailed for breaking a toddler's limb was once again cohabitating with small children because the system failed to intervene. Folks, before we dive into that night's events, try to imagine being in Brittany Kunsler's position. You're raising 2 small kids. With the holidays approaching and chores stacking up, you just need a single night of childcare. Naturally, you reach out to a trusted acquaintance, someone your children genuinely enjoy spending time with. You kiss them goodbye and head out feeling secure, never dreaming this is the final time you'll see your boy alive. Brittany did what any parent would. She placed her faith in a friend, and that choice led to an unthinkable price. Whether you're a mother, grandmother, or aunt, pass this story along to your loved ones because this narrative will change how you vet those around your kids. On Wednesday, December 20th, 2023, Justin and Brittany had some commitments that required them to be away for the entire night. They needed a sitter for Alistair and Lara until morning, so they dropped them off at Jonathan Dunn's place near 1900 West and 4400 South in Roy. He agreed immediately. Locals recalled the sun dipping below the horizon on those peaceful Roy streets that afternoon. Families nearby were settling in for dinner as a typical winter stillness blanketed the neighborhood. No one could have guessed that inside one of those houses, a total horror story was beginning to play out. Based on what Dunn told detectives after being informed of his rights, the night started off with some playtime. At roughly 8:30 that evening, he started playing with the little ones, but what he called a game quickly spiraled into a nightmare. By his own confession, he struck them far harder than he should have, using mild terms for what doctors later called systematic torture. Dunn delivered multiple heavy blows to the twins' backs, sides, and chest areas. He pinched them all over, targeting their most private and sensitive spots to deliberately inflict maximum agony. He repeatedly grabbed the sobbing toddlers and hurled them onto a mattress. Grabbing a toy foam blaster meant for fun. He transformed it into a weapon, firing at the kids and bashing their heads with the grip. The cruelty just kept growing. Dunn slammed their small heads into a doorframe until their bodies went completely limp, by his own account. He picked up a foam hammer, like the one from arcade games, and struck the children's skulls from behind. State attorneys later laid out the details like this in court. He essentially treated 2-year-old toddlers like targets in a sick arcade game. Doctors found that the injuries came from sustained, heavy force, not a sudden, singular outburst of lost control. The trial revealed a disturbing fact. Dunn's own children were present in the home that night. Prosecutors stated he forced them to witness the horrific treatment of the Kunzler twins. At one point, Dunn gave the toddlers a mix of Tylenol, cough syrup, and sleeping pills. No doctor had ordered these medications, and the parents never gave their consent. Detectives believe he wanted to numb their agony or stop their cries from being heard. But the damage was already done. Morning came, and by 7:30 on December 21st, Dunn claimed he found Alistair struggling for air. He just gave the boy more medicine. Between 8:30 and 9 a.m., Alistair's breathing stopped. Dunn admitted he saw the boy stop breathing but failed to call for help immediately. An hour passed before he finally called 911 near 10 a.m., claiming a child fell off the sofa. He told the operator he was doing chest compressions, but the investigation proved he never tried to save the boy. That delay killed any hope of survival. When help arrived around 10 that morning, the true horror of the scene was revealed. They discovered Alistair on the porch, motionless and clearly without a pulse. His tiny frame was covered in massive bruises from his face down to his private areas. Stepping inside, they found his twin, Lara, on the sofa with heavy bruising across her face. The abuse was obvious and didn't match the couch story at all. Both were rushed to the hospital. Staff at McKay-D Hospital tried everything to save Alistair, but the trauma was too great. He passed away shortly after, leaving medical workers devastated by the sheer cruelty he endured. Lara was flown to a specialist children's center in Salt Lake City with brain bleeds and severe marks. Specialists also found signs of extreme mistreatment. Surgeons spent hours operating, and while she lived, her future remained grim. The other children in the house were removed by social services and taken into protective care. Local police started their crime scene investigation the moment they stepped on the property. Throughout the residence, detectives found blood, moved furniture, and damaged items that contradicted Dunn's story. They took the toy blaster and foam mallet used in the assaults as evidence. Dunn initially tried to act like it was just roughhousing, but that lie failed once the medical reports came back. After his rights were read, he eventually opened up to the detectives. He gave a sickeningly detailed account of the strikes, the throwing, and using the door frame as a weapon. He claimed his temper took over, and he just snapped. "I hurt these babies," he admitted. The post-mortem results later confirmed the extreme trauma. The toddler had suffered through massive physical force and unspeakable mistreatment. Physical trauma was widespread across his chest, back, and limbs. The coroner's findings confirmed manual pinching and internal injuries linked to an assault, aligning with what Dunn admitted. Lara had suffered equally horrific injuries. Critical brain trauma, head-to-toe bruising, and clear indicators of physical violation. Medical professionals stressed the damage indicated chronic mistreatment rather than a lone event. Alistair's parents received the soul-crushing news of his passing that afternoon. They believed their little ones were safe for a single night with someone they counted as a friend. In a heartbeat, their son was gone, and their daughter's future was irrevocably shattered. Those close to them described their grief as bottomless. "He was my whole world," Brittany would later remark during a heart-wrenching media interview. "Such a sweet soul. A wonderful child. I cherished him above all else. I am so sorry. Emotions are getting the better of me now." Just 4 days before the Christmas holiday, the Kunzler family lost their boy. A home once vibrant with the sounds of twins playing suddenly went stone silent. His favorite starry blue blanket lay empty, and Boots, the toy cat, sat without its constant companion. Brittany admitted she could not face the holiday spirit without him. The relatives issued a formal statement to the community. Our hearts are broken over the loss of our precious Alistair and the critical condition of his twin sister. As we navigate the pieces of our shattered lives, we have decided to dedicate our strength to honoring Alistair's memory. We kindly ask for space as we endure this nightmare. We are deeply moved by the overwhelming tide of support from everyone. The tragedy resonated throughout Weber County and across the nation. A representative for the Roy police choked back tears while discussing the heavy emotional toll on the responding officers. A local resident told the press, "My oldest child bikes around this block. It is terrifying how close this happened. Sleep has not come for more than an hour since it broke. The horror of it just will not sink in." Family friends launched a GoFundMe campaign stating that dear Alistair was taken by an absolute monster. The page explained, "His twin sister remains hospitalized at Primary Children's, fighting through her injuries. I am gathering donations to help with the burial costs and the mounting hospital bills, so Alistair's sisters can access the professional counseling required to heal from this trauma." Contributions flooded in from everywhere, reaching nearly $10,000 within the initial few days. On December 30th, 2023, friends gathered at a Willard, Utah church to say goodbye to Alistair Samuel Kunsler. In his tribute, the family noted, "Losing Alistair has left a void in our souls that we will struggle to carry forever. He was cherished beyond any possible measurement, and his absence is a pain beyond any words." Jonathan Dunn was taken into custody that very afternoon, December 21st. Authorities charged him with capital murder, extreme child battery, and 2 counts of predatory behavior toward a minor. In the state of Utah, such crimes can lead to execution. Legal teams successfully argued that Dunn should remain jailed without bond. When his history of hurting children went public, the community's fury was white-hot. The Roy police spokesperson highlighted the systemic failure, noting Dunn had brutalized 2 separate toddlers, ending the life of one. He fathered several kids himself, including a 2-year-old living under his own roof. He had a prior record for breaking a 2-year-old's arm and battering the child's face in a past incident. Child advocates demanded accountability, questioning how a violent offender regained unsupervised access to young children. Why did all safety measures vanish once his parole concluded in December of 2021? Why was not a public registry available to alert unsuspecting parents about his dangerous past? To the public, this was not merely one man's evil. It was the result of a total breakdown in institutional protection. The town and the grieving family watched every step of the legal battle. Armed with forensic proof and Dunn's own words, the state built an airtight case. Alistair's parents were present at every court date. On August 13, 2024, 8 months after the tragedy, Jonathan Dunn admitted guilt to every count: capital murder, 2 counts of predatory behavior, and extreme child battery. Through a legal arrangement, the state removed the death penalty in exchange for a guaranteed life sentence with no chance of ever being released. On August 21, 2024, Judge Noel S. Hyde finalized the court's judgment. Lead prosecutor Letitia Toombs from the Weber County office stood to address the gallery. He shattered the lives of 2 vibrant 2-year-olds. The prosecutor laid out the grim specifics of the crime. She spoke of how Dunn treated toddlers like targets in a twisted game. He even forced his offspring to witness the violence. He let almost 60 minutes pass after Alistair's breath failed before seeking aid. That delay was no lapse. It was no mishap. It was calculated brutality. The lawyer argued Dunn's past was marred by trauma, stepfather abuse, learning lags, and potential psychological struggles. The court dismissed those excuses entirely, pointing out that no major psychiatric disorders were ever found. Kari Miller, the aunt, then stood to confront him for the relatives. "Jonathan, you are the very definition of malice. and we will never find forgiveness for the wreckage you left or the vile things you did to those precious, helpless infants. You embody pure wickedness, Jonathan. Our kin will not ever pardon the havoc you wreaked or the heinous crimes committed against those little ones. Dunn then offered his closing remarks. I am just so regretful for my actions. The memory plagues me constantly. Maybe one day, the family can forgive me. I want to express my deep remorse. The guilt follows me perpetually, and I pray for eventual forgiveness from the victim's family. His apologies rang hollow to the grieving relatives. The magistrate handed down the verdict. A life sentence behind bars with no chance of release for the homicide. 15 years to life for both sex crimes, plus 1 to 15 for child mistreatment. This ensures he can't harm a soul again. It was ruled that Dunn would spend his remaining days locked up in the Utah State Facility. Speaking out post-trial, Brittany Kunsler shared her raw, unedited thoughts on the outcome. I hope he burns for eternity. I had no idea he was such a monster. It never crossed my mind he would hurt our son. She then issued a warning to every caregiver out there. I will try to push forward while keeping my surviving children safe from harm. I will be incredibly vigilant to ensure their safety. I am determined to prevent a tragedy like this from repeating. I am pleading with everyone to safeguard their youth and never place faith in strangers. Justice was served in court, but the Kunsler family's emotional recovery was only in its infancy. Lara pulled through. The neurosurgery worked, and her external injuries began to fade. Yet the mental scars, the loss of her sibling, and the terror she faced will linger forever. Physicians cautioned that she would face a long road of professional counseling ahead. Her kin bonded together, vowing to envelop her in affection. Little Alistair's brief existence resonated throughout the Roy neighborhood. A neighborhood parish hosted memorial services, where locals ignited tapers and offered prayers for those mourning. Banners honoring Alistair lined the streets, pleading with the public to cherish his memory and guard the young. Unknown donors contributed funds for health care and burial expenses. Activists leveraged the tragedy to demand legislative reform, calling for tighter supervision of released predators and open registries, alongside required alerts. Alistair Kunsler's journey lasted just 2 years, 10 months, and 2 days. He adored caped crusader shows and a toy feline called Boots. He would snuggle in a starry blue quilt during movie nights with his father. He made art with his mother and crafted skyscrapers from timber bits. He would squeeze Grandma Joanne with every bit of his tiny strength. The Roy disaster serves as a stark warning of how swiftly faith can be broken, and how pure souls are taken when predators evade the authorities. It urges guardians to remain alert and neighbors to voice concerns whenever things seem suspicious, while demanding that politicians fix the loopholes, allowing monsters to roam. As you view this, young Lara starts each day in the bedroom once shared with her brother. She will reach age 4, then 5, and 6. She will attend classes solo. She will mark her anniversaries without him, the very dates they once celebrated together. Alistair remains frozen in time, while Lara matures with a void that is impossible to mend. Follow our page, spread the word, and relay this account, because at this very moment, some kid is near a threat the state let go without notice. Sleep well, Alistair, and keep your babies safe. Should you worry a youngster is facing harm or neglect, notify the authorities or social services right away. One simple phone call could rescue a child.